Welcome to the Balanced Ambition podcast. I'm your host, Matt Southam. Here, we delve into candid conversations with entrepreneurs, exploring both their business journey and their secrets to maintaining mental well-being. As we navigate the balance of ambition and inner peace, I hope you find insights, inspiration, and invaluable takeaways in every episode. Thank you for joining us. Hi, Tom. Welcome to the show today. I think let's kick off with just learning a bit about you. What do I need to know about Tom, your background, and how you got into the work that you do now?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the work that I'm in now, I always go back to where I first started with computers and websites, essentially. So I go back to A-level IT at school. Didn't do well in it. I distinctly remember doing HTML and CSS and just not getting it. Just didn't enjoy it. And I actually ended up dropping it. So I think I ended up with half an A-level in it and then never really thought about it again. Went to uni, did business and marketing, and then I ended up just falling back into websites, really. So as I was at uni, obviously doing a business degree, I kind of wanted to have a project that I could work on at the same time as my degree. But I wanted that project to be able to earn me some money as well. So
Yeah.
I started the gym while I was at university. And while I was there, I started a gym wear company, and it was all online based. And that's basically where the passion for it started. A little bit before that, actually, I tried to build a website on Wix, which now I wouldn't recommend using to anyone. Steer well
No.
of that. But I tried to build. There's a website at the moment called Pay As You Gym. I think it's now called Hustle. And I tried to build a website very similar to that, where you could go on there, you could find a gym that was local to you. If you're on the move or whatever, people travel for business or that kind of thing. They need to find a gym,
Yeah.
buy a pass on there. We keep a commission, all that kind of stuff. I think I built the homepage and got no further, but that's where I kind of got the bug for it. And I started the gymwear company, and it was just, I loved dabbling and just playing with things and seeing what worked, what didn't work, and all the competitors out there like your Gymsharks, all those kind of people, seeing what they were doing and trying to replicate that. And then from there, I was always in websites, whether it was helping other people with them, just as a side thing, or trying to build my own and make a success of them. Which I'm now 29, so doing it for nearly 12, 13 years. Been doing it for quite a while, and I now do it professionally and have done for 3.5 years. So that's kind of how I fell into that and how the business started. And there's a plethora of websites that I've started. Some failed, some went okay and sold. So I'm sure we'll get into all those kind of projects that I've worked on as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guess one of the classic ones with web designers and people in marketing, there's that joke that certainly by the time you're 30, you should own at least 10 domains that are completely unfinished projects.
Yeah.
Because we all seem to do it. We have this long list of domains. You've maybe started a project, either realized halfway through it's not going anywhere, or just given
Mhm.
up, or moved on to the next thing. Because we do get caught up in that sort of, I suppose, shiny object type thing, don't we? Because we're creative, so we have
Mm.
ideas, and you want to start those, but perhaps without thinking them through. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, so I've probably got 4 or 5 of my own domains at the moment that I've kind of started to do something with, and then just because stuff has got in the way, life, work,
Yeah,
at the end of the day, my clients pay my bills, so they come first. But if there's ever any time, which I will find, to undertake projects for these domain names, then I will do so. But I see regularly people post on LinkedIn that they're not necessarily clued up about websites and how they all work, but loads of people have like, I'll just buy that domain just in case, because you never know. I'll either use it or I'll be able to sell it in 10 years' time to someone that will pay me millions for it. So I'm in that kind of same boat where you do kind of purchase domains just in case. You never know. You might have the idea or the brainwave or the spare time to kind of undertake that. And yeah, I mean, I've seen, for example, the B&Q domain name, that was a DIY, obviously is now DIY.com.
yeah,
The guy that owned that, I think B&Q bought it for 3 or 4 million quid or something like that. So that guy or girl, whoever it was, had a very good idea a few years ago to purchase that domain name, and has probably now retired on it. So
yeah,
there's definitely lots of opportunities out there, and domain names will never run out. There'll always be a new extension that you can add. The latest one being .io. If it's a
yeah,
software company or something like that, and people are very clever as well. You can use extensions from countries to make up the word in your domain name. So if it's Italy, it can be .it. Spain, it's .es. So people can get very clever and creative with them, and
yeah.
people do well out of them and sell them for thousands, if not millions. So definitely something that I think people are jumping onto. It's basically what I call digital real estate. So people are purchasing all these different
Mm.
things as investments, holding on to them, and then you never know, they might get approached, or they might try and list them a few years later and make a healthy profit out of it. So yeah, I'm definitely seeing the increase of people doing that nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've sold a couple of domain names in the past where I've again just been approached because I was
Mm.
the registrar. Obviously, it's slightly trickier now with data on who actually owns the domain is often hidden, so people can't find you as easily. But you do still have the option to sell a domain. And yeah, talking about domain extensions, yeah, I was a full-time DJ at some point, and I had a
Mm.
.dj, and that's some little island somewhere. I can't even
Like
remember where
Djibouti in
it is.
Africa or something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, it is, it is, and that
yeah.
was their thing. So I had a .dj domain name, which yeah
Mm.
seemed pretty cool. But you're right, it is almost like a real estate, isn't it? You know, you are holding an asset that you're sitting on for, in the hope, I guess, that at one point it might be valuable.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's loads of different websites you can purchase them on. Some of them can add a little bit of a margin, so you can pay a little bit more. Like the other week, I went on to, I think it was GoDaddy, because they were the only one that was selling this domain name. I can't remember exactly what it was. And I think nowadays, if you search for a domain name, certain companies can see what you've searched, and if it's a
Mm.
decent price, they'll then purchase it. So I literally went on 24 hours later, and that domain name had been purchased, and then it was listed for £41,000. Whether they sold it or not, I don't know, but they're all very clever. And
Yeah.
if you've got a really good idea and you've got that domain name and it's available, if it's £10, just buy it, because you might be able to sell it for 40 grand the next day. I missed out on that opportunity, but I'm sure there's loads out there that you can do that with. But you know, the DJ one, that's actually a really good idea. If I ever come across a DJ that needs a website, I'll definitely recommend that to
Yeah,
them.
yeah, .dj.
Yeah,
It is
yeah,
cool.
really
I
good.
mean, what's your take on domain names and SEO and things like? Because at one point it was you wanted your keywords in your domain name. That is,
Mm.
you know, Google don't really look at that as at all now. But you know, do you think having a domain name is still quite a strong, yeah, I guess a strong presence for a business? They should make sure they secure it as a business asset.
Yeah, definitely. I think nowadays it's very easy to come up with a brand and a business name and then leave the domain until last. So you do all that hard work, you've registered the company, and then you can't get a domain name for love nor money under that name, and you're stuck. Where do you go next? So nowadays, I recommend to people, if you are starting a business, check the domain name first, because that's going to be one of the biggest extensions of your brand and your company. And if it's not available, then you probably need to either, number one, think of a more creative way to do it, or number two, think of another name. And then when it comes to SEO, you are right in that people think, you know, if I have plumberinleicester.co.uk, will that serve me a little bit better in terms of SEO? It's hard to argue against it, but at the end of the day, Google's not going to rank you because of your domain name. They're going to
No.
rank you for, you know, the quality of your content on your website, because ultimately, Google's job is to provide its users with the best search result possible. So, you know, that's not based on your domain name. That's based on the blog content on your website, or the service pages that you've got. All of this kind of stuff plays more of a role than your domain name. I don't think your domain name probably plays a role in it at all, to be honest. So yeah, people should definitely focus on, you know, blog content. We worked with a camper van company quite local to us. We built his website and we added a blog on camper van prices, and it's now accountable for 60% of his website traffic, which is about 2 or 3 thousand visits a month. And then from that, he's either selling £70,000 camper vans, he's running competitions where people can buy tickets to win a camper van, or people are renting them out. Obviously, now it's summer, and he charges like £100 a night. So, you know, just from a simple bit of blog content like that, drives loads of people to his website. And it's nothing, you know, his domain name isn't campervansinnottingham.co.uk. It's something completely
No.
different. So that's where the opportunity lies, definitely, in terms of SEO.
Yeah, I mean, blogging. So many people sort of, you know, gloss over it, thinking, "Oh, I don't need a blog," but actually, it's a great way
Mm.
that you can just get content on your site. And you were saying there about, you know, a site ranking and that actually mm, being the attribute for a huge amount of traffic. And
Mm.
that's the other thing, just getting people onto your site, showing Google actually you're the expert in your industry
Yeah,
is absolutely key, because actually it's not very often it's the homepage that people are finding. Your homepage will come up if they search the brand name, but
yeah,
actually, quite often people are searching for information prior to actually someone to purchase from. So if you can be
exactly.
the provider of the information, you're already top of mind.
Yeah, yeah. And I always say to people with SEO as well, there's so many variables. Funnily enough, I had a conversation with an estate agent about this yesterday. That he was like, "Yeah, I want to be on the first page of Google." It's like, well, everyone does. It's not
Yeah.
that easy. If it was that easy, people would be jumping up and down all the time. So there's lots of variables that you and we can't control. So that could be your location. You know, if you're a plumber in London, that's going to be very difficult for you to rank because there's probably thousands of them. If you're
Yeah.
a plumber in a small hamlet in Devon, for example, then it's going to be a lot easier. But it's all relative because there's probably not that many people there that are searching for it. So
No.
it is a fine balance, and you do have to find what works for your website, what doesn't work. You can look at what your competitors are doing as well, locally and nationally. See what they're doing in terms of their SEO, and then try to mimic it with a view to overtaking them. But yeah, there's lots of variables, and it's not going to work straight away. We've had clients that we've got results in as little as 3 months. We had a client that was selling refurbished AirPods. We got them above Amazon and Music Magpie in the space of 4 months.
Wow.
And for her relatively small investment, she was turning over about 4 or 5 times that every single month just from selling the product she was already selling on eBay.
Mm.
And then there's other companies. So we work with a wine investment company at the minute. We've been working for him for about 2.5, 3 years. But because that's so competitive and where he is geographically, he's in Mayfair. It's very difficult to
Yeah.
try and compete with the larger companies that have either got an in-house SEO team or they are doing it with someone externally, but spending thousands every single month and spending loads of hours on it. So SEO is a long-term game. It does require patience. You're not going to get results straight away, but once you do get those results, it's not only satisfying, but the results are quite big as well. And like you were just saying, then in terms of top of mind awareness, that's something that I'm big on, whether it's digital or offline. But you can treat SEO as an awareness piece as well, because someone might come onto your website today, they might just be researching, but then they might
Mm.
come back when they're ready to make that purchasing. Whether it's let's say for example a home extension, people might just be researching into who the best company is. They might need drawings, they might need building regulations, all that kind of stuff. So they're just having a look around. But now that they've seen your website, when they come back to it in 3, 6, 12 months, whenever it is, you might hopefully then be the top of mind to go, actually, yeah, I'll go back to that company because they looked reputable, they knew what they were talking
Yeah.
about, and then I'll inquire with them. So that's very difficult to track in terms of SEO. Because if someone comes back in 12 months, you can't link up where they came from, where they landed. And going back to your point on landing pages as well, I had a conversation with a boiler guy that I know recently. He asked me the question that what's the difference between a landing page and a normal page on your site? And I said to him that every page on your site is a landing page, because not everyone is going to land on your homepage. They might land on a
No.
service page, or if you've got a page that says boiler repairs in Leicester or boiler repair in Brighton, whatever it might be, people might land on that page. So every single neat page you need to have on your website in mind of someone landing on it. So don't just do your homepage and then think, well, people will land on this and then they'll click onto other pages. They're not as important. Every single page is they're all important as each other, and that's when we build a website, that's definitely what we try and focus on. And if someone else is building their website, that's something that I tell them to try and focus on as well, because people will be coming from a plethora of places, whether it's social media, Google, direct. Um, they might scan a QR code on their phone that takes them, all these different things. They can land anywhere on your site. So you want to
Yeah.
make sure that's as optimized as possible to make sure that they either purchase a product or pick up the phone or inquire via a contact form. So you just want to increase your chances of doing that, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's a really valid point about every page being a landing page, because I think
Mm,
traditionally we've always looked at this sort of, I say, customer journey, of someone lands on the homepage and then they're going to go there and then they're going to find out a bit more info. But actually that started to change because we're all very impatient.
yeah.
Often we're finding out information from social media and we've seen, and then we click a link and go directly to a specific page. And actually it's
Mhm.
that page that needs to convert. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter that you've got this journey, because
Mm,
someone might literally just be, right, I've landed on the site. How do I purchase, or how do I get
yeah.
in touch, or whatever it is? So it's really important to understand that, yes, you can have pages that work together and you can have a bit of a journey, but actually each page needs to be its, I guess, standalone website is maybe
Mm,
a way to put it.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, like you say, people can overlook that. It's very easy to overlook that, I think, as well, especially if you're doing SEO. I always say to people as well that, you could be doing social media, you could be doing offline marketing, billboards, whatever it might be, Google Ads. Your website needs to be, I believe, I'm probably pretty biased, but I think it is and needs to be your number one marketing tool. Because if you're chucking money at all these different marketing methods, even if you're doing networking stuff, you're handing out a business card, people are then going to go and look at your website. I always say to people, you need to give someone a reason to trust you, because subconsciously, I believe people are trying to find a reason to not trust you. So when they're looking at your website, they'll find this, people are fickle. And like you said, they're impatient. They'll find the smallest excuse or reason to go, I don't trust these guys. I'm going to look somewhere else. That's why your website needs to be watertight. It needs to be fine tuned to such a point where you don't want to give someone a reason. And then they've got no choice but to inquire with you, because, whether it's the products or service that you offer, it's the best they're going to get. So that's what I always tell to people again. And when we build a website, I always try and have that in mind as well. And like I say, you can do all the marketing in the world, but ultimately your website nowadays, especially, is your number one marketing tool. And it is and should be doing the heavy lifting for you. And if it's not, then it's definitely something that people need to look at. Whether it's, you can load your website with FAQs, loads of educational content. So it could be, again, if you're a building an extension, how far out can I go before I need planning permission? What's this? All these regular questions that people might be answering on the phone, put it on your website. That's doing all the heavy lifting for you. So when people do inquire, they're probably at a point where they've been nurtured and educated so much that, again, they've got no choice but to, come and give me a quote. I want to work with you regardless of the price. That's where we all want to get to. And going back to customer journey as well, we can all use tools like Hotjar, and Lucky Orange and all these different tools. But at the end of the day, we can't nail down the customer journey, because people will land in all different places. It's like going into Sainsbury's. Some people probably start their shop by going down the fruit aisle, or they might go to the freezer section at the other end of the shop. Everyone's different. You're not going to be able to nail it down. You can try your best and use the data to be able to nail down the best journey possible, but you're never going to get it right. And the way that you try and nail it down is by just the biggest thing for me is clear call to actions. There is websites that we build where you do have there is a place for you learn more, find out more, all that kind of stuff. But I believe it needs to be, your website should be talking to your customer anyway. It shouldn't be talking about yourself. It should be how you can help them. But your call to actions, for example, things like book a consultation, book a home visit, book a free call or whatever it might be. They're all a little bit more, in terms of their language, a bit more direct. Whereas if it's like learn more, find out more, whatever, I don't know what you want me to find out more about. Yeah, you need to tell me where to go, because if you don't, I'm going to get bored and I'm going to go somewhere else. And people are easily distracted. So we want them to be engaged on the website as soon as possible. And again, if you're doing all this marketing stuff and you've got a high bounce rate, you are chucking money down the drain. And that's where a website is so valuable, I think, anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, I tend to agree. One thing that is so important about a website is, in fact, you own it. It is yours. When all of your marketing, and I love social media, I post daily, but I don't actually own that platform. Someone could, the platform owner could take it down, and I've lost all my content. But in fact, the content I put on my website is mine. I can own it. I can decide how long it stays up for. I can decide which order it's in on the menu or however. I've got control, and that's why businesses want to be able to control their main hub. I see a website is like a hub, and all the other assets you're doing, or the activity you're doing, like you say, whether it's Google Ads or whether it's social media, actually it's just driving through to a website to actually get someone to convert. And I love that when you were talking about sort of action orientated sort of words on call to actions, because click here. It's like, well, why? Tell me what I actually get for clicking that button, because all of us are impatient. I believe, I don't know if impatience is the right word. I think we're used to, I guess, easy ways of doing things.
And everything straight away. Yeah.
Everything straight away, whether that's from, shopping on Amazon, it's one click, buy, it's delivered the next day. Well, even if you're a small business, you might say, well, I'm not Amazon. No, but you need to act like them, because that's what people are used to. If your service isn't, as good or as quick, then actually, why would they use you?
Yeah, definitely. That's, on a lot of the websites that I build as well, I try and have some kind of, if it's a lead magnet or even a calculator, so people can get an idea. So let's say, for example, it's the wine investment company. If I put £1,000 in and I leave it for 5 years, what's my typical return going to be? That's educating people again, and they're interacting with the website. They're then enthusiastic about using your website and then finding out more about what you do and how you can help them. So little things like that can keep people engaged. And if it's something simple, so on my website, I've got an ultimate guide to a high converting website. I've got a website checklist. I've got a website scorecard. All these things, interact with people on my website, but then it keeps them engaged, and then there's loads of follow-ups in all that kind of stuff as well. If I get your email and your phone number or your name or whatever it might be as a result of that, I can then keep in touch with you and then continue to nurture you to a point where if you're ready to invest in a website, or maybe you know someone who wants to invest in a website, I'm there straight away. Then I'm
Yeah.
doing my SEO, then I'm doing social media, then I'm doing my offline stuff, all of that kind of stuff. It's just all these different touch points in lots of different places, which ultimately, again, leads or should lead people, I believe, to your website. And if that's lacking, you're undoing all your hard work and you're losing your money basically. So make your life easy. Invest in your website maybe first, before you start doing all that stuff. And if you are
Yeah.
looking at, I get loads of people that come to me and saying, I'm looking to do social media, which I don't offer. I'm looking at doing paid ads, which I don't offer. Looking at doing SEO, which I do offer. But then I say, right, the first thing we need to look at is your website, because most companies will be more than happy to charge you 300, 500,000 pounds a month for that service. And if they don't get the results for you, you'll just leave and go somewhere else. But it's a quick win for them.
Yeah.
It can sound disingenuous where I say to people, look, we need to look at your website first, because if it's not very good, then you're going to be chucking your money down the drain with SEO. Let's get your website sorted first, then we can look at the SEO, because ultimately that's going to give you better results. And again, like I say, it can sound disingenuous because it sounds like I'm trying to sell you a website and the SEO, but that isn't the case. And some people get it, some don't. And the people that do get it are the ones that do get the better results. I think I liken it to, especially with SEO, I think most people have seen it. It's like a graphical image of someone digging. There's two people digging. There's one guy at the top and there's one guy at the bottom, and he gives up just as he's about to reach the diamonds. And then the
Yeah.
other guy kind of keeps going. It's like a metaphor for hard work and consistency and keeping on going and all that
Mm.
kind of thing. With SEO, you could be doing it for 7 months. The 8th month might be the turning point. But if you give up, you're then
Yeah.
undoing all that hard work, and you're just going to go back to square one. So that's why, again, I say to people, whether you're doing it yourself or you're paying an expert to do it, have in mind at least do it for 12 months. And then if it doesn't work from there, review what you could change,
Mm.
or maybe invest in something else if maybe it's not just suited to your product or your service that you offer. But there's been loads of people that I've worked with that have given up in the 7th or 8th month, and I've said, look, the data is showing that we are getting closer. The website is growing. Again, like I say, there's lots of things we can't control. Your competition might be doing double the amount of work than us.
Yeah.
We can't control that. We can do the double amount of work, but it's going to cost you more money. So don't give up. Keep doing stuff, even if you're just like chipping away at it, doing little bits here and there and just maintaining it. And another thing in terms of SEO maintenance as well is people get to the top, whether it's top 3 or even position 1, and they go, brilliant, I'm there. I can stop chucking £300 a month at this or whatever it might be. But it's then about maintaining it, because you could be gone
Yeah.
tomorrow, next week, next month, and then you've got to do it all again. It's just easier just to maintain it, keep it there, keep an eye on it. If you drop a couple of positions, try and get back up, whatever means possible. But just don't undo all the hard work. So if you are going to do SEO, think long term. Don't think short term. Short term is your Google ads.
Yeah.
Anyone can put £100 into an ad account today, and you'll be at the top of Google. But actually, a lot of people scroll past the adverts, and most people that I've spoken to about this topic say, even PPC people have said, even I scroll past the adverts, and some of them click on the adverts just to make sure they spend the money. Um, but the organic is a lot more powerful because it shows that you're trustworthy, and Google have put you there for a reason. So
Yeah.
I believe the return on investment for SEO is better, but it does take longer. So definitely, anyone watching this or listening to this definitely need to bear that in mind when it comes to SEO.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really key point what you said about making sure the website's right, because actually most websites get some traffic. There's
Yeah.
not, if a website's been around for a couple of years, you're doing something, you're posting on social, actually you probably are getting some traffic. But if none of that traffic is converting,
Mm,
then what's the point in sending more traffic to it that also isn't going to convert? Yeah, it's
exactly.
like
Yeah.
people, business owners say they want SEO because they want more traffic, but actually they don't want more traffic, they want more inquiries. So if
Yeah.
the website's not converting,
Mm,
literally there's no point
yeah.
doing SEO. There's no point getting more traffic there. So yeah, definitely having a look at the website, making sure the call to actions are right, and making sure it actually meets the needs of that visitor.
Yeah.
Absolutely essential, because I completely agree with you. I'm sure there are some SEO companies who will just take anything on and pump out the work, but actually I mean, I suppose their argument is they've asked us to do this, we've done that. But
Mm,
actually, if you look at it from as a business owner, and
yeah.
you're a business owner, you're going to go, well, what do I actually want? What does this business owner, what does my client actually want? Okay, they want inquiries.
Yeah.
So let's look at it from, almost reverse engineering it, I guess.
Mm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people do think of the throw enough shit, some will stick method, where if I get
Yeah.
2,000 people to my website, maybe one of or two of them will inquire, whatever it might be. But it's not about the quantity; it's the quality. I'm sure
Yeah.
we'd all rather have 100 visitors that are ready to purchase our product, land on our
Mm.
website, than 2,000 that are just looking about. They're not really bothered. They're just doing some research, whatever it might be. Now, as I said earlier, that's great because those people might come back. Ultimately, as business owners, we want those people, we want those sales now because it's a lot easier. So
Yeah.
you can treat it as an awareness piece, but you can also treat it as a sales tool. And yeah, just making sure in terms of even optimizations, mobile responsiveness is huge. I think most people nowadays will visit a website on their phone. They're out and about. They might be in the office sat on their phone. They might be on their lunch break. They might be in the car, whatever. They might be looking, obviously not driving, but they'll be
No.
looking at their phone and they'll be flicking through the website. But if your website doesn't look good on mobile, they're going to click off and they're going to go somewhere else as well. So a lot of web agencies will say we build mobile first. We do actually build for desktop first, but we make sure that when we optimize a website for mobile and tablet and laptop and all that kind of stuff, that it's pixel perfect because we want to make sure that the people that land on desktop, but then whatever other device that they're on, making sure that it's catered to them as well. And Google picks up on that as a kind of a ranking signal as well. If your website doesn't look good on mobile, maybe it's slow to load, maybe the layout's jumping all over the place when the website is loading. They're all signals for Google to rank you either higher or lower. So all of these little variables, all these little things, all these plates that you're constantly spinning, whether you do it yourself and it takes a lot more time or you get an expert to do it. And don't get me wrong, there is going to be some compromises along the way. If you've got a bit of functionality on your website and it compromises a little bit on performance in terms of loading times, you're probably going to have to work out which one is more important to you. You're going to have to have
Yeah.
a little bit of give and take here and there. But that's the fun bit. That's where you're trying to work out and you're testing lots of different things all the time to see what works and what doesn't work. So I appreciate that a lot of business owners, most of the people that come to me will admit they're not tech savvy. They don't understand most of this stuff, and that's where we come in. But
Mm.
if you do have the time to do it, or if you have someone in house that you can kind of pass this over to and say, look, have a look at this, do some testing. The smallest change could add a few thousand, depending on the size of your business, a few thousand, a few million of pounds to a revenue just from a small little change because people are landing on the site and it's then higher quality traffic and they're higher intent people looking to purchase or inquire or give you a call or whatever it might be. So yeah, there's lots of different things that people need to consider with SEO, and that's why I think the term SEO does get thrown around a lot now because people come to me and say, yeah, I want SEO, like you said, to get more traffic. But then you need to reverse engineer it and say, okay, well, what are you looking for? Who are the people that we're trying to target? How can
Yeah.
we target those people? How can we speak to them? And then when they start to look at that, they go, oh yeah, I'm not 100% sure I need SEO right now. Let's look at something else, or let me sort the website out and all these kind of things. So it does have a knock-on effect. You can end up speaking about lots of different aspects of your online presence just based off one simple conversation. And my job as an expert is to unlock all of these different things and make you think about lots of different things that you might not have thought about before. In terms of, I'm going to go back to the home extension example. When
Yeah.
I got my extension built, I had to build over some drains in my house. I would never have known that unless I got an expert. And then I had to fill in a form, send it off to the water company and all this kind of stuff. If I didn't get an expert on board, I could have had the water company here telling me to knock the extension down or the council or whatever. So it's short term, it might be a little bit more of an investment, but long term, it's going to provide you with better results. So people definitely need to set aside some kind of budget for that. I think if it's something they're looking at doing in 2024 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an important point there. And I guess that goes right back to what we were talking about at the start. And you were saying about business and understanding business development and I guess how
Mm.
businesses work. Because even though you've got a specialism in what you do, actually having a bit of an understanding of all the other cogs that move in marketing, I guess, and running a business and what a business owner actually needs helps you actually really refine the specific thing that you're the expert in because
Yeah.
you've got a general understanding the other way. And I think that's really important for business owners to have a general understanding of almost all areas, even if
Mm.
you specialize in one, because I think actually it makes your specialism much stronger when you can understand where it fits.
Yeah, yeah. And going back to when people land on your website and first impressions, I think they're massive. Loads of people say to me, I'm a new business, I'm building my own website at the moment, which I appreciate. Not everyone will have the budget to invest in a website, whether it's £2,000, 5 or 10 or above. But as a new business, if you've got a pretty crap website, I'm not saying that every self-build website is rubbish, but I don't think you should be taking the risk of setting up a new business and then the first impression everyone sees of your business is a bang average website.
Yeah.
Um, and again, I understand people's financial positions might not allow them to do that, but there are people out there that can give you advice and pointers. And there's loads of websites that you can go onto to get inspiration, such as Dribble and Behance and all these kind of
Yeah.
websites. You type in your specialism into there, you'll get website inspiration. If you're using things like the GoDaddy website builder, um, Wix, Yell, which I would avoid 100%,
Yeah.
um, Squarespace, all these different tools, they're great for beginners, but they're made for beginners. You are the end user, so you don't have a lot of control over a lot of the things. Whereas if you build in WordPress, it's a lot more technical. And if an expert does it, then they know what they're doing inside out. But it's a lot more technical, but for a reason, because it's a lot more open and you can, like you said previously, you have full control over it. So
Yeah.
that does come at a cost, but it's going to have a much more of an impact on your business. You're going to set better impressions with people. And I've had clients that have come to me. Some of them are new businesses and they do invest straight away. And then I've had some clients that have come to me and say, "Look, I am a new business, but I understand and appreciate the value of the website and how important it is for my business. Let's invest in it. Let's get it started." So yeah, I think there's a massive difference in the businesses that do a self build and then go on to kind of invest in them. They might do it 2 or 3 years down the line. And again, I appreciate because they're maybe trying to build their business and their bank account to pay for it.
Mm.
But if you invest in it in the first place, my argument would be you'd probably actually make a little bit more money to then invest in other parts of your
Probably
business
get there
anyway,
quicker.
because
Yeah.
you're going to get more inquiries. You're maybe going to sell more products. Whatever your business is, a good website is naturally going to lend itself to that. So that's where I stand on it. I'm probably a little bit biased in that respect, um, but yeah,
But it
that's,
but it
that's what
but
I
it
really think.
makes sense. It makes
Yeah,
sense. So
definitely.
let's move on to you and building and growing a business and going, what have you learnt along what do you wish maybe you knew? Because we're talking to someone who's maybe thinking of building their own website because they think
Mhm.
that's a good idea. Because they're new into business, they maybe don't know, haven't been educated on that. What do you wish you'd known about business or growing a business when you first started?
I think very similar to what I've just said. To be fair, it's investing in the proper things to start with.
Mm.
So what? For example, accountants. My mum was a bookkeeper. My dad was a financial advisor. I'm pretty good with numbers, but I've got no interest in learning about accountancy or anything like that. I don't understand it. As long as I've got money in the bank account, that's all I care about. So
Yeah.
finding a good accountant, or there's certain things in your business you want to offload and pass to somebody else, spend time finding someone. And you might not always get that right. I would always say to people to go with your gut feeling. I've gone with my gut feeling on some things and not got it right. Um, but yeah, like accountancy, for example, going back to that, my accountant I thought was pretty decent, you know relatively inexpensive. They were probably what I thought was sitting around the middle. And then recently I spoke to a few people and said, yeah, I'm spending, there were 2.5 grand, but I was doing my own bookkeeping, my own VAT returns. I was doing everything myself, basically. I then found another accountant local to me that's a little bit more expensive, but he does everything for me. Now, if I
Yeah.
found him 3 years ago when I first started, I would have had a lot more time to go and sell to customers or build more websites and all that kind of stuff, which would have made me more money. So investing in the right things to start with, whether it's your CRM system, your accountant, graphic designer, admin, virtual assistant, whatever it might be that you're looking to invest in for your business, whether you're just starting out or you're a little bit further down the line,
Yeah.
find the right person. They're not always the most expensive, but it's the people that get it and get your business as well. That's what I always try and say to people, that when I'm building a website for you, I'm not just building your website and kind of, see you later. I need to know about you, your business, who you're targeting. And I believe the people that work with me should know the same about my business as well. So
Yeah.
my biggest piece of advice, I think, currently, it might change in a few months or a few years' time, but right now it would be to find the right personal people to have around you that are going to help you grow. So that could be an accountant, it could be the people that I mentioned previously, and ultimately you want them to be with you on the journey long term. You don't want to be chopping and changing people all the time, and confusing yourself and getting yourself overwhelmed with all these different people and what they all do, what they don't do. Find the right people and the right solutions and the right software first, and I think you'll see better results from it. I've chopped and changed CRM systems. Even recently, I moved from Pipedrive to Go High Level, and then I found Go High Level didn't do certain things I wanted it to do, and it wasn't as customizable. So I've now moved back to Pipedrive. It does cost me more money, but it
Yeah.
allows me to do what I want to do, and therefore it's maybe saving me a few hours every single week. And then I can have the calls that we're doing this kind of thing, or calling potential clients, whatever it might be. I can do all that kind of stuff. So it has a massive impact, and people, I think too many people nowadays do think short term. They'll go, "Oh yeah, my mate's missus is an accountant. She'll do it for me for 500 quid a year." Fair enough, but she's not going to give you potentially the strategy, or she's not going to make you think about the certain bits that you're going to need to think about to grow your business a little bit further. So yeah, that does come at a cost, but you're going to see, you're going to you're going to reap the benefits of it a little later down the line, whether it's a year down the line, 3 years, like myself. Like SEO, it doesn't all happen straight away, but you will see a knock-on effect eventually. So I definitely say to people to invest in the right things first, whether that is your website and all the other kind of things that I've mentioned, because they're going to be with you long term, and you can't grow a long term business thinking short term. That just doesn't work. And most people attribute that to kind of cutting corners financially. And I don't think you should be doing that, especially if you're starting a business that's going to be, advertising itself, transacting with other people. You need people to believe in you. And if you're cutting corners and going cheap on certain things, then you might not believe in yourself, and that will show in certain things as well, whether it's your pricing, the way you come across to people. You need 100% confidence in yourself, and that comes with outsourcing certain aspects of your business and doing it right the first time. So that's definitely what my key piece of advice would be to people starting out.
Yeah, I think that's essential. I mean, generally, anything that we do within our business, it costs us one of two things, and that's either money or
Yeah.
time and energy.
Mm,
Now, the thing is, what we all seem to default our decisions on how much is it going to cost, but
mm,
actually, you can always get more money. Yeah, and
mm.
I know that's a very simplistic view, and I've said it a few times, but the one thing you can never get more of is time.
Yeah.
So actually, time is the more valuable asset here. So it's much better to spend the money, get someone to do it right, to give you the time back to concentrate on the things that you're good at and growing
Yeah.
your business and concentrating on whether it's serving clients or whether it's building the business, whatever it is, your
Mm,
time can be better spent doing that and then pay a professional to do it because
yeah.
they're going to do it once and they're going to do it right.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, going back to the accountancy example that I used. So
Yeah.
just before I changed accountants, just because I left it and I hate doing it, I use QuickBooks as in my accountancy software, and I left it for 3 months, and I think I had 83 unreconciled transactions that I had receipts physically, I had some digitally, I had to trawl through my number of email addresses to try and find them to be able to reconcile them. Then I had to find the VAT codes and all this kind of stuff, and it took me 6 hours. That 6 or 7 hours, that time I could have spent I don't do cold calling, but for example, I could have done cold calling. I could have
Yeah.
sent emails to loads of different people trying to upsell a service or do a website audit for a client I'm trying to target or whatever. I could have done 20 in that time. So just that little bit more every single month to offload it to someone who knows what they're doing inside out, is buying me a lot more time. And people they'll buy back their time, but they won't do anything with it. They'll just sit back and go, "Oh yeah, brilliant! I've got a free day today or whatever because I've bought that time back." But in order for it to be profitable and worth your time, you then need to go and do something with that time,
Mm.
whether it's selling the projects or building the actual websites that we're building or prospecting or whatever. All of this kind of stuff, when you're buying back your time, you need to be doing in order to make sure that it is profitable. So yeah, I think another piece of advice when starting a business, for me personally, I'd never thought that I'd reach the threshold, but I registered for VAT straight away. Again, I don't know anything about. I don't really understand the purpose of VAT and all this kind of stuff. Again, I'm not an accountant. I just don't get it. But I believe long term, it saved me a hell of a lot of a headache. That when I did exceed that threshold, which I did in year 3, of then having to go VAT registered and then going back over everything and all that kind of stuff. Um, I believe it saved me a lot of time and stress. Now, obviously, now I've got a new accountant, he probably would have sorted that. But at the time, thinking long term, if I ever reach that threshold, I won't know how to sort it. So, yeah, just again thinking long term. That's what I always try and do, whether it's my own business or if there's a client that I'm speaking to. if they want a new website, I'll give them honest and transparent advice. It might not benefit me. My advice might not actually be, you don't need a new website. I think it's actually not bad. There might be some little
Yeah.
changes here and there, but you don't need to spend $5,000 on a new one. They might then refer me to someone else or come back to me. And that's where I kind of think long term in everything that I try and do. So, yeah, the VAT registration, I believe or hope, now that I look back, has saved me a lot of hassle.
Yeah, by
Now that I've got new account.
getting yourself organised early on.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Mm.
I watched a podcast with a guy years ago. I can't remember his name, but he was a new build developer. Um, Funny enough, I've got a guy who's quite pally with him now, but he was saying basically with construction, all that kind of stuff, they get investigated, all that kind of stuff. But he was basically saying, just do everything right. Don't try and cut corners. Don't try and hide things from
Mm.
whether it's a client or from HMRC or whatever, because the last thing you want is to be undoing your lies, trying to cover your tracks, or have people
Yeah.
look into you a little bit further. I've never had that in the 3.5 years I've done it, because I've always done things properly and by the book.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to do that, whether it's again for my clients or for my own business. So don't try and cut corners in what you're doing, financially or time wise or whatever it might be. Just do everything properly, because most people do get caught out eventually. And I've worked with people that have been found out and they've been caught,
Mm.
and everyone knows who they are, and they build a reputation. I don't want that
Yeah.
reputation. I want a reputation of people knowing me and trusting me with whatever they need from
Yeah.
me, and then
Doing
they'll
it right.
naturally come to me. Again, top of mind awareness. This is the long term game that we're thinking about.
Tom, to finish off today, just let's move on finally about you. So during this
Mm,
time of growing business, what do you do outside of work? How do you switch off? Because working in a digital environment, as often
mm,
web designers do, it's very easy just to get caught up staring at screens, always being online. So what do you do for you?
Blimey, switching off. I don't think I actually know what that means. Um, so go to the gym. I've now got a 16-month-old. So before I was married and had a child, I was going to the gym 5-6 times a week.
Mm.
Now that I actually go less, strangely, I'm seeing better results from it. So I only go 3 times a week. Um, I don't know why, but I've seemed to get stronger, get a little bit fitter in that respect as well. So gym 3 times a week. When the weather's decent, which I don't think it is at the moment, we like to go on day trips. Me and my wife and my little boy. So whether it's a Peak District or just a day out in Cambridge or Oxford or something like that, just walking around and just going to pubs and stuff. So we like doing that where we can. I'm a Leicester City season ticket holder, so if you'd have asked me this question a year ago, I wouldn't have been very happy. But this year, I'm much happier. So yeah, I try and go. I go to every home game. Try and go to away games where I can, and then I actually run another business. So I run a garden furniture business,
Okay.
purely online based. I don't think many people know about it. I don't shout about it on LinkedIn because actually it's not 100% finished yet. But um, if I'm not working on a project for myself or a project for one of my clients, if I'm processing orders and all that kind of thing, strangely, that's a little bit of therapy for me.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's another business that I'm trying to build at the moment. And actually, recently, I've developed not by choice, but a 30 before 30 list. So one of them is to start going to more music festivals. So, for example, like Creamfields in the summer.
Yeah.
Um, the music that I like isn't to everybody's taste, so a lot of it will be involving going to places like Holland and all that kind of stuff, or Germany. So that's stuff that I want to do more of. And then yeah, just spending time with my family and little boy, whether it's at home or whether it's on a day trip or whatever. I don't tend to do that much because because I work from home currently, my computer switches off. I'll then go downstairs, sit in the living room, crack open my laptop, or I'll sit on my phone. I'm scrolling through LinkedIn, I'm replying to people or whatever. So switching off, it's not really something that I do. But I think I'm not diagnosed, but the ADHD/OCD in me, that addiction to your brain being switched on all the time, it very rarely switches off. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what I do outside of work. But my work, I feel like when you enjoy something that you do, you never really are working. So a lot of the stuff that I do, whether it is building a website or doing this kind of thing or networking, or giving people advice, replying to emails, all that kind of stuff, I really enjoy because I never got the opportunity to do it in any of my previous jobs, really.
Mm.
I've always wanted to be creative. I've always wanted to have control over what I do, whether that's an ego thing. I don't actually know, if I'm totally honest. Um, But yeah, I've always wanted to do that in my previous jobs, which I've had a plethora of. And I was never really allowed to have that kind of creative license to try certain things and do lots of different things. So that element of creativity is why I started my own business. And if something doesn't work, going off on a tangent a little bit here, but if it doesn't work, then it's on me, and I'll try something else. I like property interior design stuff as well. So a lot of there's a guy on YouTube called Ennis Yilmazer. He's based in America. He does a lot of like massive LA property tours. I like watching those. And yeah, just like doing interior design stuff. I'm not an interior designer, but like the wardrobes behind me, for example, the extension, our garage conversion, all those kind of things I've kind of had an input in and designed and kind of project managed. So
Yeah.
I kind of enjoy doing that stuff as well. I don't get to do it that often. But I guess where I'm building a website and then doing the interior design stuff, it's both the project management and the creative side of it as well that I tend to enjoy. So got into F1 quite a little bit recently as well. So it's quite handy because when my 16-month-old wakes up at 5:30 in the morning, if they're
You can watch one of those, yeah.
exactly, if they're in Bahrain or whatever, then the qualifying, or Australia, the qualifying is normally on. So I've somehow just fallen into watching that, and I quite enjoy that now. And basketball is something that I've kind of started enjoying as well. I went to the MSG in New York a couple of years ago to watch the New York Knicks. Not only was it really expensive, but it was actually quite a lot of fun. And then I went to watch Leicester Riders, who are quite a decent team, I think, to be fair, local to me. So been going to a couple of games there. I'll watch it on TV and stuff as well. So yeah, I don't know if it's my age and I'm just getting into things that I never thought I'd get into. I was always, as a kid, I was like, I'll never be into F1. It's just cars driving around a track. It's boring. But now I'm pushing 30, like the strategy behind it and all of the little bits here and there that make the difference, which again is probably similar to in business as well. I really enjoy as well. So that's all the kind of stuff that I'm into at the moment and stuff that I do to switch off where I can.
Just, I guess, breaking things up, having a bit of variety so you're not actually stuck on one thing for too long a time. Tom, it's been fantastic to talk to you today. I know that your insights into web building and SEO are going to connect with people listening because, the majority of businesses do have a website or are thinking of getting a website, and therefore they want traffic, they want clients. So I think your insight's been really, really helpful. Thank you for sharing it with me. I wish you all the very best with the future of your business and the gardening or the garden furniture side as well. So yeah, been brilliant to talk to you. Thank you for joining me.
No, thank you very much for having me on. And hopefully your listeners and your viewers have been able to take something away from this and implement it into their own business. And hopefully if they have, that'd be really good. And if they have, then get in touch with me on LinkedIn and let me know if you manage to take any value from it. I love feedback, whether it's constructive or positive. So people are more than welcome to get in touch with me. And if people do want to get some advice, then more than happy to jump on a call with them and give them some honest advice about their website, whatever it might be. So definitely push people to get in touch with me, and hopefully we can all keep in touch, and hopefully it won't be the last time that we do something like this.
No, excellent. No, completely agree. And I'll make sure your contact details are in the comments below, or in the description below. So everyone can check that out. Tom, enjoy the rest of your day.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Balanced Ambition podcast. I genuinely hope the stories inspire you as much as they inspire me. If you found value in today's conversation, please share it with a friend. And remember, by subscribing, you won't miss an episode, and it would truly mean the world to me. Stay balanced, and I'll see you next time.